Well, hey there, all you rockaholics and CGCM rock radio faithful. Welcome into another edition of Rock Talk, where we talk rock because that's how we roll. My name is Bob Bannister, and one of the things that I've been obsessed with lately is the Australian rock scene. There's a big surprise. You hear me talk about it all the time. But hey, you know what? What can I say? That scene down there has just exploded. Every time I turn around, there's another band to be discovered, and that just means more people to talk to, and that's always a fun thing. And one of the festivals that I really wish I could have gotten to is this one here, the Rock Is Not Dead Australia 2 Festival that took place in August. And man, what a lineup they had. They had Audio Rain. We've spoken with Jake from Audio Rain. We've spoken with Ryan from the Tailor Made Rejects. We've spoken to Delacoma Rio. They also had the Dead City Ruins there. They had the Dreadful Tides, Slither, and Whiskey on the Rocks, as well as a Dio tribute. Now, the one band that we didn't get to chat with yet, and well, we're going to do it this time around, is the band Kalatone. They've got a brand new EP out. It is very impressive. They're very Tool influenced and a little bit of Soundgarden, Chris Cornell thrown in there, but we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Caught up with Tim on his Sunday with his family and just had a really great little chat with Tim. And what do you say we step inside the Rock Talk forum and join Tim Pitchford and myself for a little bit of a chat right here on CGCM Rock Radio and YouTube. Let's welcome to Rock Talk from the band Kalatone. Let's welcome Tim Pitchford. How you doing, Tim?
I'm fantastic, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Where are we catching you today?
So I'm in sunny Queensland in Australia, and as you can see, it's an absolute beautiful day here out and about, just out with the family. But I thought I'd take the time out and speak to your lovely self.
Right on. Very cool. And, we have to do a tip of the hat to the one, the only Shane Dunn from the Rock Is Not Dead Festival for putting us in contact.
Oh, what a legend. I love that guy.
That guy is
that Rock Is Not
cool.
Dead. Oh, man, he's nonstop. And he's the coolest dude. And he's just so passionate about the music industry, especially here in Gold Coast and Queensland and stuff. It's so refreshing. So refreshing.
Absolutely. And as the name of the festival goes, Rock Is Not Dead. And that's
absolutely not.
And I'm discovering so many bands through Shane from Australia. Yep. Australia is such a hotbed right now, wouldn't you say?
I totally agree. There's so many cool, it's such a weird underground scene, and underground to a degree. Like there's lots of big up and coming bands and things, but in terms of exports, I mean we sort of tend to keep to ourselves for the most part, and then all of a sudden we sort of maybe broaden our horizons a little bit, and this beautiful thing called the internet, and speaking with people like yourself and getting connections all around the world, all these bands are starting to pop up, and it's crazy, man. I think this, Spotify and all the social media and stuff like that, it's a beautiful thing when done properly and used correctly, to find all this new music. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. So give us a story of Kalatone.
So Kalatone started a little bit before my time with the band. So I was the latest addition to the band about a year ago.
Okay.
I had just come back from Europe from doing some singing stuff over there. And then they sort of caught me at a really good time and said, hey, man, you want to join this band? We've got these tracks. They're ready to go. We just need some vocals and some lyrics. Let's see how we go. So I jumped in and I did my thing. We wrote the first song, Nostalgia, together, and they loved it. And they said, let's do it. So that's when the official current lineup of Kalatone started. But the band actually started with the guitarist Gav,
okay,
and Adrian, and it was sort of like their love child. They had this love for the band Tool, and their kind of style and progressive rock and grungy type stuff. So they were doing Tool covers and tributes and things like that. So they were really heavy into that side of things. And then Dave, the drummer, came on board through an acoustic project with Gav, the guitarist.
Hmm.
And so they were doing their thing, but the three of them had this amazing sort of connection, this really good jam sessions together, and just wrote some really cool music. And then they sort of brought me on board, and it sort of completed the package. And here we are, just over a year later. We've done maybe 15 or so gigs around our local space, in Brisbane and Gold Coast, capital of Queensland, Brisbane, and the sky's the limit, really. We're
Absolutely.
just going crazy with it. It's so much fun.
Absolutely, and I've got to say, I've been listening to Pathways, your debut EP, there for
Yep.
at least a couple weeks now, just almost nonstop. I have this thing
Oh, wow.
called the lawn cutting playlist, and that keeps
Yeah.
coming up on the lawn cutting playlist. But when it gets to Firestarter, I hit repeat, repeat,
Yeah.
repeat.
Yeah.
I love that song. Is there a story behind that song?
Thanks so much, man. Yeah, look, Firestarter it's one of those songs. It had this driving, the driving drums and the driving guitars and everything else, and it had to be impactful. So when I wrote the lyrics for it, like I said, I'd just come back from Europe, and I was really into the idea of the rock star lifestyle. I really wanted to embrace that side of things, and after so many years of I guess trials and error, basically, failing and repeating and failing and repeating and learning from those failures. It's kind of like a declaration to really wanting to be that rock star, or be that musician, or be that person that I saw myself being 10, 15, 20 years ago, even, just to really get out there. So it's like, I'm coming for you. That's the message, and I just want to be up in lights. There's no if or might. I'm coming for you. And that's what it is. And it was that kind of feel and energy to the song anyway. And it kind of wrote itself.
You gotta love that when a creative project like that just absolutely comes together and just falls
Oh,
into place. And next thing you know, you look back and you go, "Wow, I'm done."
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think they'd already written the music for those 5 tracks on the EP.
Mhm.
And when I jumped on board, I had to do all the lyrics and the vocals. I did them in my home studio, and it was like, I think I knocked them all over within a couple of months.
Oh, wow.
And that's in amongst, family and full-time work and other bits and pieces. But it was just one of those things, like I said, where everything sort of, all the ducks are in a row, and it just works. It just works. And I was caught at a very good, very passionate time of my life, having gone to Europe and come back, and I went there for singing, and it was just, my head was in this whole other game, which was amazing.
So, what's your creative process normally like then?
So a lot of the riffs and melodies and things, especially for Kalatone, they sort of come from between Adrian, the bass player, and Gav, the guitarist. They sort of drive this stuff. They don't sort of write like, it's not your standard pop rock type stuff. Obviously, we're talking progressive rock. It's Tool inspired. It's grungy inspired stuff. So they sort of fiddle around with these melodies, and they sort of counteract each other, which is really, really cool. Complement, I should say, complement each other, which is really cool. And Dave's background, when he comes on board, we have this group chat, and we send out the riffs, and we send out these rough recordings of things. And Dave jumps on board in his home studio with his drums. And he's got an orchestral and jazz background,
Oh,
which
okay.
just again brings this whole other element to the music. It's rare to meet a drummer that can use dynamics,
Hmm.
because they're always just loud.
So he's literally then the Charlie Watts of the band.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. 100%. He's so unique in the way that he approaches the drumming, and even just the way that he uses the drum kit almost melodically is beautiful. And then he, like I said, complements these other riffs that these guys have got going on, and some of it, if they're going fast, I'm trying to go slow. If they're going slow, I'm trying to go fast. Depending on the mood, obviously that can change, but the creative process behind that, I have to listen to the music. I love writing to music that's already written,
Mhm.
because it gives me a challenge. It gives me some constraints, creativity without the constraints in that respect can sometimes go, it's overwhelming. So you get this space where you're like, oh, I can do anything I want. What do I want to do? But now it's like, I've got this song, it's 5.5 minutes, it's 6 minutes. I've got that structure that I have to work with. What can I fit in there to make this what it needs to be? And that's sort of how I tend to operate best in that space. And then whatever thoughts come into my head creatively, lyrically, a lot of it's based on my experience inside my head, in terms of my own mental health and my own mental health journey. Um, yeah, so that's sort of the creative process behind it. And now we're sort of working on a new album as well. Um, which again, we're sort of in that same process. So the guys are doing the riffs and the melodies and things like that. Dave's going to throw his 2 cents in on drums, and I'm just going to get in there and do what I do lyrically and vocally.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, you played the Rock Is Not Dead festival with some friends of Rock Talk, Audio Rain, TaylorMade Rejects, Delacoma. We've all had them on the show here. Slither and the Dreadful Tides, as well as Whiskey on the Rocks on that bill as well. Now, interesting story. I was in a charity shop here in my hometown, and I saw a T-shirt that said, it had on it, it was a band T-shirt, and it said Whiskey on the Rocks. I'm like, no way, that can't be.
Nah.
But it turns out there's a Canadian band that's same name, just spelled
Same name.
Instead of ROX, it's ROCKS.
Yeah, right.
And you also opened a show for a Foo Fighters tribute. What's next?
Yeah.
What's next for you guys?
So we got another show coming up on the 18th, actually in our hometown, Gold Coast, which is lovely. So it's just around the corner. We don't have to travel for an hour and a half to get there, which is lovely. Yeah, so we're playing, it's a wicked local venue called Moe's Desert Clubhouse. A lot of touring bands do come through this space. So we're playing there on the 18th, and we've got, I think we're going to try a hand at a band festival. We've done a couple, and we got through to a few places. A lot of them they tend to be a bit of a popularity contest. How many people can you bring along, and get the drink tokens going and that kind of stuff. But this next one's going to be for a local festival called Good Things, and a little band that you might have heard of called Tool. They're headlining that one, so that'll be fun. So we're going to try and jump on the band competition to get a place in the Good Things Festival at the start of November. And then in amongst all of that, we're actually also filming, or starting the process of filming, a film clip for the song Nostalgia. So that's going to be super exciting as well.
Oh, very cool. Now you've been mentioning how much of an influence Tool is, but would I be remiss in saying that I also hear a little bit of Soundgarden maybe thrown in there as well?
Oh, 100%. Chris Cornell's a god to me. I love that. I love that dude. And I'm so upset that I actually never got to see him live. But I grew up actually less Soundgarden, more Audio Slave is sort of
right.
my vintage, my scenario, and a lot of Chris Cornell's solo stuff as well. Like, prolific songwriter, absolute prolific songwriter, and vocalist is incredible. And a lot of Linkin Park, Alter Bridge, Miles Kennedy. Miles Kennedy is also another vocal god. I've seen him live. I made sure that happened. And he's just the most incredible vocalist I've ever heard.
And
amazing.
Those guys from Alter Bridge, I don't know how they do it. I mean, Miles goes off and does his own thing. Then he teams up with Slash, and then he does Alter Bridge, and then same with Mark
solo stuff.
And then it's like every year there's new projects coming out from the core of that band. How do they do that?
I don't know. He's gone off and done his thing with Creed and stuff, and it's amazing. They are an absolute powerhouse in that scene, and I certainly look up to them for that. But I love Mark Tremonti's. Tremonti does Sinatra.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if you've heard. That's so good. I love that.
Oh, yeah.
I actually did a Frank Sinatra tribute show as a vocalist, so I can relate. It's phenomenal.
It's
such good music, but it's we have varying influences. I say Tool a lot. Obviously, Gav and Adrian came from that sort of side of things, but they also have a varied interest. So a lot of Adrian's background is a lot of the heavier metal, even some of the death metal type stuff. But he just loves that heavier stuff. And again, like I said, Dave, the drummer, he's very eclectic in his musical taste. He plays in orchestras. He plays percussion in orchestras, and timpani and all those wonderful instruments that people often forget about when you're in a rock band. But like I said, he uses those toms in a similar fashion. It's so melodic. It's amazing. But yeah, I grew up on country music, so it's this again. We're such varied eclectic backgrounds with all our influences.
And it seems though that these days the genres are blending. I mean, like I spent a good chunk of my radio career in country radio, and
Nice.
you'd get songs come up like She's Country by and I just lost his name, but the opening riff of it, you hear it and you're going, wait a minute, that's Back in Black. Jason Aldean, that's who it
Look,
was.
I always tend to say country music is kind of rock and roll with a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
It's a bit like that. Yeah. My father used to own a country music radio station
Oh, okay.
down south end of Australia, and so like I said, I grew up on that stuff for 8 9 years of my life, and there's a big part of everything. And we've got some incredible country artists from Australia as well. But vocally, there's have you heard of Rick Price?
Yes.
Rick Price is a phenomenal songwriter, phenomenal lyricist and vocalist and stuff. And he's living in Nashville now.
Mm.
And then you've got John Farnham. Please
Yep.
tell me you've heard of John Farnham.
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic. He's the voice of Australia in some respects. So many people sort of look at that, and that's what I grew up on. And those kind of guys, they're amazing. They're icons in the industry.
Absolutely. But what's one piece of advice that you'd give to an up and coming band, one that's still maybe struggling to get out of the garage, that you wish you'd have gotten when you were at that stage?
Play the long game. It's not an overnight success thing, and it never is. And so many people chase it,
Mm-hmm.
and they get frustrated when it doesn't happen straight away. Play the long game. Be consistent. That's what I wish somebody had told me. I decided when I was 5 or 6 years old that I wanted to be a singer, a famous singer. That was my famous first career words. Like, I want to be a famous singer. That's what I want to do. And at the time I thought, I'll just, I'll keep singing and I'll get out there and I'll do all this stuff. And I get frustrated that it wasn't, happening or taking off, or, I wasn't getting the recognition that I thought I should get for whatever reason. And I didn't realize how hard it was, but I was playing a short game. So play the long game, and it's a career. It's not a hobby, in my opinion. And look, it could be a hobby for some, and that's totally fine if you're just doing it for the fun, and it is always fun. But if you have this patience about it, like I'm 36 or something, and I'm not quite where I wanted to be, but at the same time, I'm spring chicken. And in the grand scheme of things, it's never too late. I look at all these rockers out there. All the old rockers are coming back doing tours again. Like, it's invigorating. So there's nothing stopping anyone from doing anything at any age, and play the long game. Just be patient, be consistent. It'll come.
Absolutely. It's like this radio game. I spent many, many years in commercial radio, and I had fun there, but I'm doing this as a hobby now.
So
I'm
good.
having the most fun of my life in radio.
That's what it's all about. Have fun. It's just, you got to keep a humble, lighthearted approach to it, because the moment you can take it seriously, but the moment you take it too seriously, it becomes not fun. And it becomes about other things outside of the original stuff that you thought it would be, or why or how it was fulfilling for yourself in the first place.
Absolutely.
In my opinion.
So before we wrap this up, I like to do a little thing called this or that. It's got nothing to do with music. It's just top of the head nonsense questions. If you're ready, I'll fire them at you.
So ready. Let's do it.
All right. Peanut butter or chocolate?
Chocolate.
Now, if it's chocolate, is it dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
I have to go dark chocolate.
Scary movies or comedy?
Comedy.
Beach, water park, or pool?
Beach.
Ice cream or cake?
Ice cream.
Apple or Android?
Apple.
There you go. All right. Tim Pitchford from
That's fun.
Kalatone. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Rock Talk. What's your socials so people can stay tuned and find out what's going on with you guys?
Absolutely. Kalatone_band. That's our Instagram. And you just search us up, kalatone.net. That's our website, and you'll find everything that you need to know on there, including our inner circle, which is our mailing list. And you'll know everything oftentimes before we do, so that's fun too. And get out there, get involved. Love the support, love the community. Thank you so much for having me, Bob. It's been an absolute pleasure. Really, really pleasure. Thanks so much.
You're quite welcome, Tim. And let's stay in touch down the road, and maybe we can do
Absolutely.
one of these when you release some new music again.
Oh, absolutely. Let's do it. Look
Awesome.
forward to it.
And I want to thank you folk out there for joining us on this edition of Rock Talk with CGCM Rock Radio.